so. Unless Dr. Hesberg, he's already on. So my anxiety just went way down.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Sorry for the technical difficulties we had with Zoom. We have admitted the public. Dr. Hesberg, we're ready to call the meeting. After you.
As the chairman of the board of the City of Grosse Pointe Park Downtown Development Authority, I call to order the meeting of September 1st, 2020. Mr. Seisland or Ms. Smith, do you please call the roll?
Okay. Dr. Hesberg.
Here.
Aline Carlisle.
Here.
Okay. Zach Asaf.
Here.
Sharon Corbin.
Here.
Jay Kennedy.
Here.
Todd Kilgus.
Here.
Andrew Richner. Benjamin Wixon.
Here.
And Mayor Denner.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum, Dr. Hesberg, if you would like to continue.
I will. The minutes of the November 2019 minutes have been circulated. Is there a motion to approve?
I so move. This is Bob Denner.
Is there any discussion?
Support. You first need support. I'm sorry.
It's Jay Kennedy. I support.
Is there any discussion? If not, can we call the roll, please?
Dr. Hesberg.
Yes. Aye.
Board Member Carlisle.
Aye.
Board Member Asaf.
Aye.
Board Member Corbin.
Aye.
Board Member Kennedy.
Aye.
Board Member Kilgus.
Aye.
Board Member Wixon.
Aye.
Mayor Denner.
Aye.
Hearing all ayes, the minutes of the Board of Directors meeting of November 2019 have been approved. We'll then move on to approval of the meeting minutes of the May 20th, 2020 meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
It's Jay Kennedy. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
Ms. Smith, please call the roll.
Dr. Hesberg.
Aye.
Board Member Carlisle.
Aye.
Board Member Asaf.
Aye.
Board Member Corbin.
Aye.
Board Member Kennedy.
Aye.
Board Member Kilgus.
Aye.
Board Member Wixon.
Aye.
And Mayor Denner.
Aye.
Hearing universal ayes, the minutes of the meeting of May 20th have been approved. We'll move on to public comment. Mr. Seisland, do you want to address the agenda items?
Okay, thank you, Chairman Hesberg. So for those in the public, similar to our other board meetings, we do not have any submitted written public comment for the board for me to review. So at this time, I'm going to ask Leah Smith if there's any public comments regarding the agenda items. At that time, Leah will ask for your phone number to unmute you, and you'll have a 3-minute timer. regarding your public comment to the board. So at this time, I'll ask Leah if there's any public comment.
City Manager Seisland and Dr. Hesberg, I have no one in the queue for public comment at this time.
That being the case, we will move on to the Westchester Somerset project update. Mr. Seisland, would you please update us relative to that project?
Okay, thank you, Chairman Hesberg. Leah, can you please share with the screen and the public the OHM engineered drawing? Okay, so, oh, 1 second.
Okay, can everyone see the drawing?
We can see it now. Okay, thank you, Leah. So before you tonight, and actually currently ongoing right now, DTE is doing work throughout the city in their gas main renewal project. So as you can see throughout the community, they're putting in gas mains and then doing new services to homes over in the Cabbage Patch area and below south of Jefferson, and including parts of Jefferson. As previously discussed with the closure of Trombley, there is certainly a need to look at safety for residents and kids that would be crossing to school from the Trombley area over to Pierce and Defer. So the city looked at a solution of what we could do to improve safety. And so before you right here, there's an old drawing, or actually the current sidewalk path we figured was too long and we wanted to shorten that space. So with this proposal right now, we're eliminating 26 feet of walking space for those that want to cross. And so as of right now, our contractor InfraSource is currently ongoing ADA sidewalk ramps crossing from Westchester to Somerset over on Jefferson. And in the budget for the DDA, we had approved $20,000 for Westchester Jefferson crossings. As well on the county will be looking at changing the timing of those lights for safe crossings. And we're working with the county on painting new crosswalk lines. So I just wanted to update the board on that project, and if there's any questions, please let me know.
Mr. Seisland, I understand there's no vote necessary on this matter, and hearing no discussion, let's move on to the seventh item, the COVID-19 Business Support Program.
Chairman Hesberg, may I ask the city manager one question?
Of course.
Thank you. I understand the work is begun and ongoing with the start of school coming soon, although right now virtually. City manager, do we have an estimated complete date for this project?
Weather permitting, we're expecting the sidewalk to be done this week.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We'll move on then to the COVID-19 Business Support Program. We'll begin that with comment by our city manager, Mr. Nick Seisland.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Hesberg. Also, so before you tonight, similar to what was approved at the TIFA meeting, we have a DDA COVID-19 reopening assistance program. In the budget, this is appropriate for $10,000 in support of that program. So I'll briefly highlight the program. The city has $10,000 available for reopening assistance. Funding is available for small local businesses within the DDA district, including the Jefferson business area, which those funds can be used for additional tables and chairs for expansion outside onto the sidewalk or a parklet, umbrellas, materials and labor costs associated with plexiglass barriers as you see entering businesses, and other expenses as determined by city administration. Local businesses that are interested in receiving funding must submit a letter of interest to the DDA at grosspointpark.org. The letter of interest needs to describe the local business requesting assistance, the needs, and also including a project budget. Any local business requesting funding for an expansion of outdoors needs to have a current expanded outdoor footprint and/or outdoor dining permit from the city and those can be applied for at the same time. All applicants who are given funding will need to sign a funding agreement and agree to the terms and conditions outlined by the city. All funded applicants will be given a maximum amount of $1,500 for the project outlined in their application, with half of the total funds provided by the city at the beginning of the project, and the rest of the money will be given once the project is completed and supporting documentation is provided. Any applicant will be reimbursed for the $1,500 even if their project ends up costing more. And so with that in your packet as well, I did have a reopening assistance funding agreement letter that we do issue to those businesses upon recommended approval. And so if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And after that, I'll ask Dr. Hesberg for a motion for approval.
Nick, we've only got, I think, one restaurant and a pizza place. What other businesses would need these grants? I'm just curious. I mean, the gas stations, I don't think will. The liquor store won't, I don't think. So what did you have?
So what we wanted to do is provide, enough support for not only those businesses, but also there is some office space within that area near Hungry Howie's that might be setting up plexiglass or hand sanitizer stations in those. And we just wanted to provide as much funding as possible, within the 10,000 to provide to those businesses.
If there's no further discussion, is there a motion to approve the program as presented by Mr. Seisland?
Dr. Hesberg, this is Board Member Wixon. I did have a couple questions myself. In regard to the usage of the money, in terms of like plexiglass and things like that, just from my experience, Mimi's and Hungry Howie's, they've already done that. So I'm wondering if it would make more sense to maybe loosen up the word, like the way this is worded, because, I'm just thinking of the restaurants themselves. I think they've already made those improvements. Who knows if they still have the receipts for that? Can they use it for other things? And then to kind of back that up, Jay Kennedy mentioned, what other businesses could be using this, and $1,500 per business. I mean, assuming that, everybody uses the money, you're looking at, 4 or 5 businesses total that are able to use this. Is that enough money, I guess is my question. Is it possible for there to be more money? Because this budget, and I'm kind of long-winded on this budget that I know it was actually increased before it was actually, put into motion before, but that was, a while ago before this pandemic extended even further into the year. So I'm wondering if that dollar amount is even enough. So those were my comments on it.
Okay, thank you, Board Member Wixon. So with that said, what we'd like to do, similar to the TIFA, is see how the money gets funded through initial applications. And if indeed there needs to be more funding, we'll certainly look maybe at a next DDA meeting to have a budget amendment in regards to that. With those businesses that have already purchased some of those, plexiglass and that, we're certainly open for reimbursement of those previous purchases. So this isn't just only for anything purchased as of now. This is for anything beforehand that might have been purchased.
Okay. Would it be safe to say that if there's more applicants than the $10,000 allows, that, I mean, I think you've answered the question, but, say we get 10 people that apply at 15,000, are we going to have to pick who's getting that money or turn people away, or will we just approve it and go back and amend, to expand the amount of money for this?
So my recommendation at this time would be, let's see where we're at with the $10,000. Certainly, if we get a influx of those, I will certainly look to have a special meeting of the DDA to increase those funds. But at this time, I would stick with the 10,000. And as this goes, Board Member Wixon, we're evaluating each of those funds that are put in their application. Some of them can be approved and not approved. So that's what we'll look at as of right now.
Okay.
But I'm certainly open to more suggestions. So thank you.
No, thank you.
May I add a comment, please? This is Zach Asaf.
Please
I
do.
currently run the, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, so I currently run the Village Wine Shop, and I will withdraw myself from any funds for the pandemic, and I prefer to skip out on the $1,500 or any additional funds. We stayed open, we thrived, so there's no need for my end to. There's only 4 businesses really that was affected, if they were affected. I know the gas station was not affected. I know Hungry Howie's, they were busier. They went on very, very busy, and they couldn't keep up with the staff. I know they're not going to take any of the money. The only person who I see might need it to help is Mimi's, and that's the only business that I can say. Maybe also the laundromat, possibly Joe. Other than that, everything was. Everybody stayed open. They continued thriving, doing business as usual. So that's all I have to say.
If there's no
Thank you.
further, if there's no further discussion, I understand this matter requires a vote to approve as presented by the city manager, Mr. Seisland. So do I hear a motion to approve?
Sharon Corbin, I approve.
And a second?
I
I
approve.
second.
Ms. Smith, would you call the question?
Yes, Dr. Hesberg,
Aye.
Board Member Carlisle,
Aye.
Board Member Asaf,
Aye.
Board Member Corbin,
Aye.
Board Member Kennedy,
Aye.
Board Member Kilgus,
Aye.
Board Member Wixon,
Aye.
and Mayor Denner.
Aye.
We have a unanimous vote, so the matter is passed. We can move on to item 8. Mr. Seisland, is there any new business or old business?
Yes, so from city administration, I'm working with our DDA and / city attorney, Mr. Jake Howlett. I expect that our next DDA meeting, we're going to look to have a DDA bylaws and rules regarding meetings. So that's up and coming, and eventually a memorandum of understanding with the Urban Renewal Initiative for the SCOP Center. So that's all I have from the city administration and new and old business.
Fine. We'll move on to the next agenda item, which is public comment. Ms. Smith, do you know of any
Okay.
members of the public who wish to address the board?
Yes, Dr. Hesberg, I currently have one person in the queue. So what I'm going to do is share a 3-minute timer. Just as a reminder, like all of our other board or council meetings, you will have 3 minutes. I will ask you to unmute yourself and then state your name and your city of residency, please. Brian, you are first in my queue. If you will please unmute yourself and state your full name and city of residency for the record. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Leah. I'm Brian Bosberg, resident of Grosse Pointe Park, and I am wanted to comment on 2 things tonight. I had already spoke to the TIFA board about this. The same impacts the DDA board. Wanted to let this DDA board know that the state act for TIFA boards as well as DDA boards requires you to adopt the budget after council approval. Also, wanted to let you know, if you weren't aware, that your board approved a budget that is different from the budget that city council approved. So you now have an accounting discrepancy in your budget. So you have a different budget than what city council approved. So it's not clear to me, nor is it clear to the public or to an auditor as to which budget that you're doing. So there's really 2 reasons why this board needs to approve, or adopt, rather, I should say, the final budget for the year. And I say that as a professional who manages public boards for a living and has done so for 2 decades. Also wanted to point out that the bylaws for the DDA, the DDA does not have bylaws. The state act requires the DDA to have bylaws for their operation. So I don't know what the rules are or the standards that you're operating by, nor does the general public nor the administration. So I just wanted to point those 2 things out to the board members. If I was a member of this board, I would be very concerned about both of those items. That concludes my comment. Thank you.
Mr.
Thank
Fox,
you.
we appreciate your comments. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Dr. Hesberg, let me ask real quick if Leah has any more public comment in the queue. Just give me one moment, please. Leah, do we have any public comment?
City Manager Seisland and Dr. Hesberg, I do have one more public comment in the queue. Mary, you are next. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself, please, and state your full name and city of residency for the record.
Thanks, Leah.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Leah. Mary Rulo on Lake Point. Just a quick question. When will this body be meeting again, please?
Mayor Denner, do you wish to address that question?
You know, I will refer that to the administration. I think that's to be scheduled based on the when the material that city manager referred to is ready and available for the board, and it'll be done with the proper notice and so on.
Well, do we have an estimate at least?
Not at this time.
So it could be next week, it could be 2 months from now.
The notices will be put out there. Thank you.
I do have one more person in the queue for public comment. John, you are next. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself, please, and state your full name and city of residency for the record. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm John Callis. I live in Grosse Pointe Park, and I'm a bit concerned, puzzled, disturbed by the fact that a couple of existential comments regarding the DDA were left to fall flat on the floor, and the only response by Mr. Hesberg was to call for an adjournment. This seems outrageous to me. At least what this body could do is have said, well, we're going to consider that and we'll take it up at a future moment. But to just dismiss it out of hand, not even acknowledge the budget discrepancy and the lack of bylaws, to me is criminal. And I'm very sorry to be a citizen or resident in this city where such behavior is tolerated by a board who was appointed to look out for the interests of the community and the business community. And I'm sorry to hear it. I'm very sorry to hear it. Thank you.
Mr. Collis, I appreciate your comments. I was under the impression that there was one member of the public who was scheduled to speak. And I was under that impression because that is what Ms. Smith told the board. But I certainly do appreciate your comments. And I am glad that we corrected the error by listening to the other 2 members of the public. So thank you for your comments.
That didn't correct anything. This is just.
Thank you. Leah, do we have another public comment?
Can I just say,
Um,
that you mentioned that we are going to have bylaws for the next meeting, right? So that will correct at least one of those items.
That's correct.
Okay.
City Manager Seisland and Dr. Hesberg, I do not have any more public comment in the queue.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. That being the case, may I hear a motion to adjourn?
I so moved. This is Bob Denner.
Is there a motion? Is there a second for the motion to adjourn?
Sharon Corbin, second.
It's been moved and seconded that the City of Grosse Pointe Park Downtown Development Authority adjourn from its meeting of September 1st, 2020. I appreciate all the comments of the members of the board as well as those of the general public. Thank you.
Should we
The meeting is adjourned.